Vivekachudamani of Shankaracharya, 379th verse. Anatma chintanam tyaktva kashmalam dukkha karanam chintayatmanam ananda rupam yan mukti karanam. Anatma chintanam tyaktva, giving up thoughts of anatma, non-self, that which is not your true nature. Anatma chintanam tyaktva, giving that up. Kashmalam, and what kind of non-self? That is something which gives kashmala, evil, which produces evil, and dukkha karanam, which produces dukkha. Chintaya, giving up the thought of non-self, that is what you are not, that is not your nature. Giving that thought, giving up that thought. Chintaya, instead contemplate on Atmanam, on your true nature, on self, on Atman. And what is the nature of that? Ananda Rupam. It is bliss absolute. Yan Mukti Karanam, and which leads to liberation, which gives you liberation. Why do we suffer?
Yeah. Why do we suffer? Because we think of outer self, which is not us.
Why do we suffer?
We think for the unnecessary things. We suffer for our misguided mind.
We cannot control.
You don't control. Huh? Why do you suffer? কষ্ট পাই কেন আমরা? কেন কষ্ট দুঃখ পাই কেন?
নিজেদের ভুলেও পাই, বেশি চিন্তা করে দিই অন্য সাবজেক্টে আর কি, তাই না?
আমরা সাফার কষ্ট পাই মানে আদার্স চিন্তা করি বলে, অন্যদের জন্য বেশি চিন্তা করি বলে।
অন্যদের চিন্তা করি? অন্যদের জন্য চিন্তা করেন?
করি না, বা স্বামী স্বামী
অন্যদের জন্য চিন্তা করেন? হ্যাঁ, এই যে আপনি এত রাস্তা করে এলেন, পার করে এলেন, তো রাস্তায় কেউ বসেছিল না খেয়ে, ওর জন্য চিন্তা হয়েছিল? ঘোড়ার ডিম হয়েছিল। বলুন, কেন দুঃখ পাই কেন? হ্যাঁ, নিজের স্বামী, নিজের ছেলে, তার জন্য খুব চিন্তা হয়। ও নিজেরটা ডিলিট করে দিন, কোনো চিন্তা হবে না, কোনো চিন্তা হবে না। আমরা দুঃখ পাই কেন? আমরা চাই বলে দুঃখ পাই। Why we suffer? Because we want to suffer. আমরা দুঃখ পেতে চাই। দুঃখ পেতে চাই মানে কি? আমরা কোনো আমাদের চাহিদা থাকে, ইচ্ছা থাকে বলে আমরা দুঃখ পাই। So anatma chintanam, that which is not ourself. So we suffer because we want to suffer, and whatever is not our true nature. What is not our true nature? Anything that perishes is not our true nature. Anything that can be destroyed is not our true nature. So because we think on these things, we suffer. Anatma chintanam. And so not only we suffer, we make other people suffer also. So this nije, You think that your child is your child. That is why suffering for the child. You have children.
Yeah,
How many children do you
2
have?
daughters.
What do they do?
So they are self-sufficient, they are working. And,
But when they were growing up,
growing
so,
up, they're growing up.
huh?
Growing up, they are married.
No, when they were growing up,
Yeah.
when they were in school, so they had to suffer because of her. Because mother thinks that, they should study. If they don't study, what will happen, etc., etc. So mostly, because of this wrong idea about oneself, not only you suffer, you also make others suffer because of that. Nobody can use mobile phone. Nobody can talk to other people because constantly it has to be reported. See, he is from personal experiences smiling. So like that, so many things. The moment you think yourself to be something other than what you are, you suffer. And so Shankaracharya says, give up that thought. So now what do we think ourselves to be? We think ourselves to be mobile phones, smartphones. Smartphones. So if somebody's smartphone battery has gone, you die. So anatma chintanam tyaktva. So give up this thinking of the non-self. That means whatever you see, whatever you hear, whatever you experience, everything is non-self. Experience in the regular sense of the term. Anything that you can see is not you, because whatever you can see can be destroyed. You cannot see something which cannot be destroyed.
How?
Tell me, can you see something which cannot be destroyed?
How?
How बोल रहे हो? You are Bengali or what? No. How can you? No. I am saying that can you see something which cannot be destroyed? No. Whatever you see can be destroyed. So how to get rid of that is there are two processes. One is by elimination. Another is by saying that I am seeing something which is true, but I am seeing it in the wrong way. It is an optical illusion. The whole universe is an optical illusion. You're seeing things in the wrong way. So you see people, before somebody falls into love with one another, the person was there. That person was living on this planet Earth, and both the male and female. But only when they fall in love, they fall. See, nobody says they go up in love. They say fall in love. So they fall. Why? Suddenly something has happened. What has happened? Attachment has happened. Nothing has happened. Attachment has happened. So the person was already living on planet Earth. This person also was living on planet Earth. Suddenly there is some attachment. And that attachment continues for some time. Afterwards, detachment. So then everything about the person is, if I did not marry you, then it will be so much problem. Do you know the monkey story? Huh? There are so many monkey stories. Which story do you know? It is connected to marriage. Do you know? See, there were two monkeys. And these two monkeys from Kolkata. So they were, because most of you are from Kolkata, regional flavor. So you are from? Banaras. So Banaras more monkeys are there. Okay, let it be Banaras. So Banaras, one apartment was there, and two monkeys were getting up a tree to get some fruit, say mango tree. So one monkey went up and suddenly started saying, future is bright, my future is bright. So the monkey which was standing below said, hey, pluck the mangoes and put it down, I am feeling hungry. Then the monkey above says, no, future is bright, my future is bright. So what happened to you? Suddenly you are telling future is bright. Then the other monkey came down, and that monkey said, you see, my future is bright. How can you say suddenly your future is bright? When I went up the tree, this tree went on a level with the first floor of the apartments. And in that first floor, near the window, this tree went to that level. And near that window, there was one couple, they were quarreling. And so the wife said, had I known that you will be like this, in Bengali, had I known you will be like this, আমি যদি জানতাম তুমি এরকম হবে তাহলে এক বান্দরকে বিয়ে করতাম. I would have married a monkey. So he says my future is bright. So like that, suddenly this person with whom you had so many romantic moments and you sang so many songs also, maybe like this song, so many songs also, उसको साइलेंट में डाल दीजिए ना. ना साइलेंट में बजता नहीं है. So that kind of thing, but suddenly you get detached. You feel that the whole world is wrong, everything is wrong. But for this person, my whole world was good. It was because I was married to this person or I married this person that everything has gone wrong. Nothing has gone wrong because of somebody else. Everything is going wrong or right in your life because of yourself. We conveniently put the blame on somebody else. No thinking person will do. And so it shows that most of us don't think. Most of us don't have, we have brains, but we don't use it. We hardly use it. Most of us, we don't think. If we started thinking, it would become difficult for people to rule us. It would become difficult for governments to rule us, for politicians to rule us. So most people, almost entire humanity does not think. No. You just think about this.
In the right way.
No, not right. Don't think. Don't think. Otherwise, how do we say, because I was born here, I have become like this? This statement. Say you take this statement. And you take the history of humanity. What is this history consisting of? It is consisting of people who were born in unfavorable circumstances but became great by struggling. Is it not? We don't talk about anyone who was born with a golden spoon or a silver spoon. We talk of people who struggled. It could be an industrialist, it could be anybody. But a person who, the typical rags to riches story. So we talk about those people. And so, that it's not a obstacle. You don't actually, you are not held back because you were born in an unfavorable circumstance. That doesn't happen. But why do we say that? Because it is easy to get around. When you say that, I could have done so many things, but because I was born in such a family, I couldn't do. I could have become a doctor, but because my parents couldn't give me donation money, I couldn't become. So like that you can keep on telling. I would have been such a wonderful person, but because I married this person, such a thing has happened. So all these things we say, why? Because we don't think. Because none of these is actually true. Not one of these statements is true. Why? Because even whatever is happening good or whatever is happening bad to your life or in your life is because of your own doing, because of your own actions. It is not because somebody has done something. So this anatma chintanam. Now why does that happen? Because even in a material sense, even in a worldly sense, you are not putting the blame on yourself, but you are putting the blame on others. When you move the attention from yourself to outside, when you move the attention from your internal to external, problems start. And so, what is the only way to get rid of all problems and all suffering? To completely understand who you are. And that you have to understand, the sooner the better. Anatma chintanam tyaktva. And so give up the thought of non-self. Kashmalam dukkha karanam. Chintaya atmanam Now, why would someone think of something which is difficult to think? Why would someone think of something which is very difficult to think? That was your question. How to think of something which we cannot see, which we cannot experience, which we cannot do anything about? Why would you think? Because thinking of not self gives you evil, makes you evil and causes suffering. Whereas thinking of self causes bliss, infinite joy, everlasting joy, and yan mukti karanam, and it leads to liberation. What is liberation? What is liberation?
মানসিক স্বচ্ছতা চিন্তা
No, what is liberation?
লিবারেশন হচ্ছে মানে এই যে বাহ্য জগৎ থেকে বেরিয়ে যাও, ইটারনাল ট্রুথ।
What is liberation?
Liberation is a freedom for every this world matters.
No, it is not. Mukti. I am talking about mukti. What is mukti? Mukti means you are repeatedly taking birth and repeatedly dying. To get rid of this cycle is called mukti. So you see, most of you are not aware of even what is mukti is. And most of you have come, means past your 50s, no? Half of your,
Like that.
more than half of your life is gone. So, still you don't know what is mukti. So how will you get it? So mukti means getting rid of repeated births and repeated deaths. That is mukti. That is the only way you can get liberated. When will you get liberated? Only when you are thinking of your true nature, that is Atman. And when will, or God. And when will you think? When you stop thinking of the opposite. Sri Ramakrishna very beautifully says that if you want to go to north, if you want to forget south, just start walking towards north. So if you move towards north, automatically south will be left behind. You don't need to think about giving up south. People, when they are addicts, say addict to smoking, so people ask them to start with something called chewing gum or something. So you, or nowadays this electric cigarette has come. So you smoke, you feel like you are smoking, but actually you are not smoking. So this is called substitution. So instead of smoking cigarette, nicotine, tobacco, you start chewing gum, which is harmless comparatively at least, and you get to get rid of the thought of smoking. Most people smoke not because they want to smoke, but because there is this some kind of sensation, a gnawing sensation, annoying and gnawing sensation inside them, that I have to now go and smoke, and that's why they smoke. So similarly, when you give up the thought of not self, you will automatically start thinking of the self, and that will cause bliss. And that is why we should think of the self, because our entire problems, the whole cycle of suffering will be stopped. We will have no more suffering. Esha swayam jyotihi ashesha shakshi vijnana koshaha vilasati ajasram lakshyam vidhaya enam asad vilakshanam akhanda vritya atmataya anubhavaya. So here Shankaracharya says what you should do. Now this is in the language of a guru who is telling the disciple what you should do. Swayam jyotihi. So here you see, here this Swayam jyotihi, self-effulgent. Swayam jyoti means that which doesn't need any light to be seen. Everything in this world needs light to be seen. Okay, even sun is seen by its own light. Everything needs light to be seen, But this is self-effulgent, which is Swayam Prakasha, which doesn't depend on anything. It is independent. And it is Asesha Shakshi. Asesha means everything. It is witness of everything. The ultimate reality. You can call it God, you can call it Atman, Brahman, whatever name you can give it to it. It is the ultimate truth. And that is not dependent on anything. It is not dependent on any external source of light or anything. And it is the witness of everything. Everything in this world, it sees. That means it's the only thing which is constant. It is the only thing which is constant. Other things are all variable. And that constant reality is always, that is why it is told Sakshi, Sakshi. Why Sakshi? Because it is constant, it never changes. It never changes. And Vijnana Koshaha, and it Vilasati, it remains. How does it find manifestation in human beings? In Vijnana Koshaha. So our human true nature is covered, in a manner of speaking, by 5 sheets, by 5 coverings. First one is Annamaya Kosha, the body. Then is Pranamaya Kosha, the vital breath. Then Manomaya Kosha, that is the mind. And then is Vijnanamaya Kosha and Anandamaya Kosha. So this Vijnanamaya Kosha is where we can, that is the only first stage where we can have an idea of the ultimate reality of Atman, Vijnana Kosha. That means even beyond mind. Lakshyam Vidhaya, you make this as your goal. Enam Asad Vilakshanam, and this is distinct or separate from Asat. Asat means unreal, that which can be destroyed, that which does not remain. You make this separate from this is separate from that, this is separate from unreal, because this is constant, it is not variable. This is separate from the unreal, and this Atman, Atmataya, you make this Atman your goal. Atman or God, make your God your goal, and Akhanda Vritya, and meditate on it. Akhanda Vritya, without any other vritti, without any other thought. So people, how many of you have been initiated? How many of you have got a mantra? So when you sit for meditation, what happens? Generally what happens is, suddenly you will remember all the works you have to do. Something which you have forgotten for many days, suddenly it will come to your mind. That is how mind plays with you. So then suddenly you will remember that you have to cook this. Suddenly you will remember all important works or urgent works come to your mind. Because you are meditating. Because your mind doesn't want you to meditate. So Akhanda Vritti. Akhanda Vritti means without that Vritti should be an unbroken thought. Unbroken thought. That means without any other thought. And Atmataya, think of it as your own self. Anubhavaya, meditate on it. Meditate on it, on this Atman, knowing it to be your own self. It is yourself, but now we don't understand it to be ourself, and that is why all problems come. So here Shankaracharya is saying that you know it to be your own self and meditate on it without any other thought. Etam achinnaya vrittya pratyaya antara shunyaya ullekhayan vijaniyat swaswarupataya svutam. So you reflect on this Atman continuously, achinnaya, without any break, continuously, and without any pratyaya means thought, antara means different thought, shunyaya, without any other thought coming in, and sfutam, you know it clearly, distinctly, as swaswarupataya, as your own nature. Ullekhayan, and you should understand it clearly. Vijaniyat, you understand it, know it clearly as your own self. So you have to, what you have to do, you have to control your mind. You have to go beyond your mind. That means, of course, your senses and body. And then you have to meditate on this changeless self, Atman. And only when we do it continuously for a long time, that we will get the knowledge of Atman or Brahman or God. And how should we do it? You see, when you do this, what will happen? Automatically you will have all the other thoughts coming in. And so again and again it is being told that you should not concentrate on any other thought apart from God or Atman. But how will you do it? Atra atmatvam dridi kurvan ahamadishu samtyajan udasina taya teshu tishtet sputa gatadivat. So how you should do? Atra atmatvam dridi kurvan. You have to dridi, strengthen, atmatvam, your identification with Atman. Now what is strengthened? Your identification with the body and with the mind. But you have to strengthen your identification with Atman. And ahamadishu santyajan. You have to completely give up. What? Aham adishu. That means egoism. Ahankara, mamakara. Aham adishu. Ahankara, mamakara. That means I and mine. That is what we suffer from always. I and mine. So you give it up completely. You have to give it up completely. So all people who say that I am suffering in the world, they all say that it's only lip service. They want to suffer. If you tell them, yes, you can stop suffering, just give up your egotism. And now she was telling that I think of my children. That's what I said. When she came all the way, she did not think anything about all these people who are poor or maybe they don't have food to eat. Nobody thinks. Even when she is, are you from Kolkata?
Yeah.
When she is moving in the roads of Kolkata, she does not think. Maybe she may think like that, ahare, so nothing is there, that's all. That is only fleeting thought. And maybe some donation she may give to some institution. But not so much as she thinks for her daughters. Why? Because there is no I, there is no mine, that nijer chele, nijer me. My sons and my daughters. That is not there. Unless you have that, you will not think. So, that is what is causing problem. When you travel in public transport and somebody pushes you or somebody tells you something, etc. So many things happen, but then you don't mind it. When you come to your house and if somebody does not smile at you, then that's all. You will also not like, whole life has become insipid without any meaning, etc. Why? Because those people in that public transport mean nothing to you. But this person means something to you. And this meaning which you have falsely attached, that is the cause of all problem. It's a false meaning you have attached. So, aham adishu, egotism and ahankara, mamakara, I and mine, give it up. And udasina taya teshu tishtet. And you should be living without any concern for them. Indifferent, udasina. Indifferent with them. Just like sputa gatadivat. Now this example is very important. In those days, so sputa gatadivat means a jar, ghata, a jar which has got a crack or which has broken. So if a jar has broken, what do people do? Do they cry? No, they will go and get another jar. But this example was given long back. Now even that has to be explained. Why? Because now what happens if smartphone, something happens, people do cry. Smartphone goes wrong, people cry. Computer goes wrong, people cry. So now something goes wrong, people do cry. So, but the idea is that you should not cry. Holy Mother says, suppose there is some object, it will not get some disease, and it will not get a heart disease and go to ICU and die there. It will break. That is how that will be destroyed. A person, a human being, may get a heart disease or something and go to ICU and may also get operated and finally die. So, but here this will not happen. That is what Holy Mother says. But people now, we give so much importance even to objects. But the idea here is you should be indifferent, just like something has happened to some object. So you are not very much concerned. So I think the example has to be changed in present circumstances. You should be just indifferent, like you are indifferent to the millions of hungry people in India. Now that is very clear. Everybody is correct. Because you are indifferent. You don't bother whether they die or whether they live. You are not bothered. So like that you should be indifferent to all things, all small things which are there in your life, which arise out of ahankara and mamakara. Only when you do that will you be able to go beyond suffering. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat.